The clock strikes 8, and the candles on our dinner table flicker, casting shadows that dance across the empty chair opposite me. It's our 10th anniversary, and I've prepared David's favorite meal, hoping to reclaim some semblance of the connection we once shared. But as minutes morph into hours, the realization sets in: he's not coming. My phone buzzes with a message from him: deadline's insane. Can't make it tonight. Sorry, love. Disappointment tightens my chest, not because of his absence, but because this has become our norm. In the silence of our too-big house, I find myself reflecting on the growing distance between us. David's latest novel has captivated him, and in turn, his career has eclipsed our life together. The success I once dreamed of for him now feels like the very thing prying us apart. A week later, at a work conference, I meet Liam. He's everything David used to be: attentive, charming, and present. We're drawn together as if by some unspoken understanding, and for a moment, I allow myself to forget the emptiness waiting at home. Over coffee, Liam does something I've missed deeply: he listens. As I share my frustrations, not just about David's absence but about my own unfulfilled desires, Liam's gaze never wavers from mine. It's a simple act, but it fills a void I've been unable to articulate, even to myself. The contrast between David's preoccupations and Liam's attentiveness sharpens in the days that follow. When David's novel garners critical acclaim, it only serves to deepen our rift. His world is one of words and accolades, a world where I no longer seem to fit. Then, Liam surprises me with a gift. It's nothing extravagant, just a book I mentioned in passing, but it's the thoughtfulness behind it that touches me. It's a reminder of the connections I've been craving, the small acts of understanding and care that have become so rare in my marriage. As I sit with Liam, laughing and sharing stories, I can't help but feel a mix of guilt and exhilaration. I'm aware of the dangerous path I'm treading, yet I'm also acutely aware of my own happiness for the first time in years. In Liam's company, I find a glimpse of the woman I used to be, one who laughs freely and dreams boldly. The realization hits me hard and fast. I'm at a crossroads, caught between the life I've built with David and the possibility of something entirely different with Liam. It's a choice that feels both impossible and inevitable, a choice that I know will define the path of my life from this moment forward. The evening air was brisk, the kind that hinted at change. I sat across from Liam, the glow of my laptop casting shadows on his face. It was just another late work night, or so I told myself. David was probably still hunched over his manuscript, lost to the world. The comparison was inevitable. Where David's thoughts were miles away, Liam was here, intensely present. "I never see you this relaxed at the office," Liam commented, his voice cutting through the silence of the empty office. I laughed, a sound that felt more foreign than it should. "It's hard to relax when you're juggling deadlines." He smiled, and in a moment of spontaneity that I'd later replay 1,000 times, our conversation gave way to a silence that pulsed with unspoken tension. Then, without a word, Liam leaned across the table, his kiss a mixture of certainty and questions I wasn't ready to answer. The drive home was a blur of streetlights and racing thoughts. David was asleep, as expected, the gentle rise and fall of his chest a silent testament to our growing chasm. Guilt gnawed at me, yet there was an undeniable thrill that coursed through my veins, a sensation I hadn't felt in years. By morning, Liam's name lit up my phone, his messages a constant presence that both excited and terrified me. "Thinking of you," read one. Simple words, yet they held the power to unravel the life I had meticulously built. I started crafting lies with an ease that disturbed me, each excuse more creative than the last, just to steal moments with Liam. Coffee dates turned into covert meetings, our secrecy adding fuel to the fire. Then came the evening David had planned a surprise dinner, a rare attempt to bridge the distance between us. But by then, Liam and I had crossed a line I couldn't return from. I called David, my voice shaking as I fabricated a work emergency, the disappointment in his silence a heavy weight. Liam and I met at a hotel that night, the final barrier between us crumbling. The physicality of our affair marked a point of no return, a stark departure from the life I shared with David. In those moments, I was lost to the intoxication of newfound desire, a desire that blinded me to the inevitable fallout. As I lay awake in the early hours, reality began to seep through the cracks of my euphoria. The gravity of my choices settled over me, a blanket of uncertainty. David's unwavering commitment, once the foundation of our marriage, now felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the immediacy of my betrayal. The chapter of my life with David was closing, each deceitful step with Liam turning the page toward an uncertain future. Yet, even as I ventured further away, a part of me lingered in the life I was leaving behind, caught between the comfort of the past and the thrill of the unknown. I never thought a piece of paper could shatter my world. Yet, there it was, a hotel receipt fluttering to the floor from my purse, its stark white presence a silent accusation in David's trembling hand. His eyes, a mix of confusion and hurt, met mine, searching for an explanation I wasn't prepared to give. "It's not what you think," I began, the lie tasting bitter on my tongue. But the truth, raw and unyielding, demanded to be acknowledged. "David, I'm so sorry. There's someone else." The room seemed to contract, every detail sharp in the wake of my confession. David's face crumpled, a visual echo of the pain I felt inside. "Is this why you've been so distant?" His voice was a whisper, a thread holding us together. "Yes," I admitted, the weight of my betrayal settling between us. He suggested couples therapy, a lifeline thrown in the storm of our crumbling marriage. But my heart, foolishly entangled with Liam's promises, had already veered off course. "I can't," I said, the words severing what little hope remained. "I'm leaving, David." Moving in with Liam felt like stepping into a new world, one painted with the vibrant colors of passion and possibility. The mundane reality of shared life, however, quickly dulled the gloss of our affair. Liam's attentiveness waned, his nights out with friends stretching longer, leaving me alone with the shadows of my choices. At first, the silence was a welcome reprieve from the chaos of leaving David. But as days turned into weeks, the emptiness grew, a stark reminder of what I'd left behind. Liam, once the source of my exhilaration, became a mirror reflecting the solitude of my decisions. "Liam, can we talk?" I attempted one evening, the words catching him as he prepared to leave. "About what?" "I'm late," he said, his impatience a cold splash against my growing doubts. "It's just, do we have a future together?" My voice trembled, betraying my fear of the answer. "We're living our future, Amelia. Don't overthink it." His response was a kiss on my forehead, a gesture that once would have set my heart aflame but now felt like a dismissal. As the door closed behind him, the silence enveloped me once more. The vibrancy of our beginning had faded, leaving in its place a stark realization. I had traded a life of quiet disconnect with David for a louder, more poignant solitude with Liam. The illusion shattered on a Tuesday evening, ordinary in every way except for the revelation that broke me. "Liam, where do we see this going?" I asked, a question I danced around for weeks. His avoidance was a dance of its own, each step taking him further from the answer I needed. "We're good where we are, aren't we?" Liam replied, his attention fixed on his phone rather than the conversation that could define us. It was then I noticed, the way his fingers paused, a slight shift in his expression. Curiosity overcame me, a silent spectator to the unraveling of my own life. I saw them. Messages to other women. Words that mirrored those he once whispered to me, a betrayal that cut deeper than the cold air of loneliness. I sought solace in old friends, those shared with David, only to be met with cold shoulders and hushed tones. Their loyalty lay with the man I'd left behind, a stark reminder of the world I had forsaken for a mirage of happiness. It was amidst this desolation that I found it, a symbol of what had been and what I'd thrown away. An unopened anniversary card, meant for David and me, from friends who now turned their backs. The card, heavy with unspoken words and lost time, brought the weight of reality crashing down upon me. Regret, a companion I'd tried to outrun, settled in, whispering truths I could no longer ignore. Driven by a need to mend the unbridgeable gap I'd created, I reached out to David. My messages were a deluge of apologies and realizations, each word a plea for forgiveness, for a chance to right the wrongs. "David, I understand if you can never forgive me, but I am so sorry for the pain I've caused. I miss us, and I've realized too late what truly matters." Days passed, each silent one stretching the distance between my apology and his response. David was wrestling with his own demons, the hurt and betrayal I'd inflicted battling against the remnants of what we once shared. In the silence of my decisions, I understood the gravity of my actions. The pain of betrayal, once abstract in my pursuit of something more, became my reality. The journey from the excitement of new beginnings to the desolation of their aftermath was a path paved with choices I could never take back. The wait for David's response was more than a hope for reconciliation. It was a testament to the cost of my decisions, a price paid in the currency of lost love and broken trust. The silence was deafening, each day stretching into an eternity as I waited for David's response. My heart was a battleground of hope and anxiety, each message sent into the void a testament to my desperation for forgiveness. David, on the other end, was a fortress of pain and contemplation. I could only imagine him, surrounded by the remnants of our life together, weighing the possibility of forgiveness against the hurt that seemed insurmountable. The man I had loved, and hurt, was now a stranger guarded by his own heartache. Then, one day, amidst the endless waiting, it arrived. A letter, unassuming in its appearance, but heavy with the weight of finality. Enclosed was the anniversary card, a cruel reminder of the happiness we once shared, now tainted by my betrayal. David's message was succinct, a single line that shattered any lingering hope. The space between us has grown too wide. I tried to reach him, to breach the vast expanse that had formed between us, but my calls went unanswered, my messages left to float in the digital ether. The silence from David was a clear message, louder than any words could convey. Driven by a need for closure, or perhaps punishment, I visited our once shared home. The door creaked open to reveal a tomb of memories, the silence a stark contrast to the laughter and love that once filled the space. Each room was a chapter of our life together, now closed and gathering dust. In the stillness of our home, the full weight of my choices crashed down upon me. Regret, a constant shadow since the day I left, now enveloped me completely. The realization that I had traded true companionship for fleeting excitement was a bitter pill, one that I swallowed amidst the echoes of a life no longer mine. The path to rebuilding was not immediate. It started with small steps, each one a conscious effort to mend the parts of me that had led me astray. I dove into personal growth, seeking understanding in the pages of books, the words of counselors, and the solace of solitude. My journey was not about finding a new love, but rediscovering the love for myself that I had neglected. In the rebuilding, I found resilience. The process was slow, often painful, but necessary. I learned to forgive myself, to accept the consequences of my actions, and to find strength in the acknowledgement of my mistakes. The journey was mine alone, a path from the ruins of regret to the possibility of peace. The news hit me like a wave, unexpected and overwhelming. David's novel, a raw recount of our story, had climbed the ranks to become a bestseller. Each word, a testament to the pain and beauty of our shared past, now lay bare for the world to see. It was a strange sensation, knowing that our private turmoil had been transformed into a narrative that resonated with so many. David, through his writing, had found a way to mend the fractures in his life, his career now unassailable. I sought refuge in my work, hoping to find a semblance of the fulfillment that seemed to elude me at every turn. The void left by my failed marriage and the subsequent fallout with Liam, who remained unfazed by our separation, was a constant reminder of the choices I had made. His life continued in its usual carefree manner, a stark contrast to the introspection and rebuilding that defined mine. A mutual friend's wedding became a mirror reflecting the consequences of my decisions. I attended alone, a solitary figure among couples and happy faces. The weight of my past choices pressed heavily upon me, a tangible reminder of the loneliness I had wrought upon myself. David was there, a presence as undeniable as the sun, yet as unreachable as the stars. His deliberate avoidance was a clear message, the distance between us now a chasm too wide to bridge. In the aftermath, I attempted to forge new connections, to find a way to trust and be vulnerable once more. But each interaction was tainted by the fear of repeating my past mistakes, leaving me trapped in a cycle of hesitation and regret. David, meanwhile, embarked on a book tour, each stop a step further away from the life we once shared. Through his writing, he found solace and a way to move forward, crafting a new beginning from the ashes of our story. His journey was a testament to the healing power of creativity, a path I admired yet could not follow. As I navigated the complexities of rebuilding my life, I was acutely aware of the irony that David and I, once so intertwined, were now finding our separate ways to heal and grow. His success was a reminder of what could have been if different choices had been made, yet it also underscored the importance of seeking redemption and understanding in the wake of our shared tragedy. My journey was far from over, each day a step towards understanding and forgiveness, both for myself and the love we had lost. The realization that true growth comes from facing our deepest fears and vulnerabilities was a difficult lesson, one that I learned in the silence of my solitude and the echoes of a past that continued to shape my path forward. The moment of realization hit me unexpectedly, a stark, illuminating truth amidst the chaos of my own making. True happiness, I finally understood, wasn't found in the exhilarating rush of forbidden passion but in the steady warmth of stability and mutual respect. This epiphany dawned on me not with fanfare but in the quiet solitude of my apartment, a place that had witnessed the highs and lows of my tumultuous journey. Seeking a sense of purpose that my career no longer provided, I turned my energies towards volunteering for a local community project. The work was grounding, a reminder that there was a world beyond my own heartache, a world where I could make a difference. It was during these moments of selfless service that I began to find the pieces of myself I had lost along the way. The news of David's engagement came as a quiet shock, a social media update that turned the page on a chapter I had long clung to. The finality of it all was sobering. There was no going back, only forward. As I stared at the smiling faces on my screen, I felt a deep sense of loss but also a flicker of hope for both David and myself. In the solitude that followed, I took a long, hard look at the path my life had taken. Acknowledging my mistakes and the hurt I had caused was a painful process, but it was necessary for healing. I had wandered far from the woman I once was, but I was determined to find my way back, to rebuild myself into someone stronger and wiser. Companionship came in an unexpected form. A dog whose boundless energy and unconditional love filled my days with laughter and purpose. In caring for him, I found a sense of responsibility that anchored me, a constant reminder of the simple joys life had to offer. When David married, it was a quiet confirmation of the end of our story. Though I wasn't there to witness it, I felt the closure it brought, a necessary step for us both towards new beginnings. Reconnecting with my family, I was met with understanding and support, their unconditional love a balm for my weary soul. They welcomed me back, not with judgment but with open arms, ready to help me pick up the pieces. Embracing my newfound self-awareness, I made a vow to myself. I would build a life marked by genuine connections and self-love, a life where happiness was not a fleeting moment but a constant state of being. My journey was far from over, but I was ready to face whatever came my way, armed with the lessons of my past and the hope for a brighter